The Path.
The Path.
The show was on.
I had the biggest smile on my face.
Taking it to a whole new level.
Pitch and fight shred simulator.
Do you have like a angry style?
Yeah, we're called Play Hard.
We've had some good times.
It's January 8th, 2025. Welcome to the Path Podcast. My name is Tani, here with Ak, and super stoked to have Mountain Bike Alan here with us today.
Stoked to be here.
Welcome.
A little bit of news real quick. We have Over the Hump starting April 29th, so that'll be good. Cross country and dual slalom. Red Bull Hardline, February 7th and 8th. A lot of stuff on sale here at the Path right now, on especially bikes. We just moved a bunch of handlebars, shoes, helmets, and gloves to our outlet store, so check out our outlet store at our original location on First Street.
Any high-rise bars?
No, low-rise bars are on sale. High-rise bars are sold out all the time. Yeah, that's a trend. That's a vibe. We just put all the 2024 Score 6080s and 2030s on sale, which is a big deal. That's a big 180 e-bike with Bosch mixed wheel. Pretty sick bike. We're looking at one right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, all of the pivot models, or most of the pivot models, are now coming with 2025 Fox forks with the X designation on the damper.
Right.
And so the stock we have in stock with 2024 forks are on sale for prices too good to advertise. Text us or call us for a deal on one of those, like Firebirds, Trail 429, Switchblades, etc. If it has a factory fork on it and it's not the new factory fork, we'll hook you up.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah. So other news that I'm super excited about is we have really upped our level of cooperation with Alan, and we're sponsoring him more deeply and more thoroughly, and we're going to be collaborating more together.
Yep.
So that's exciting.
Welcome aboard. Welcome.
Thanks. Super stoked.
So we were kind of Alan's shop sponsor for 2-3 years at least.
Longer than that.
Longer, yeah. Time flies. Thanks for all of the time helping us out and everything. And glad you're more involved than ever.
Yeah, likewise.
So now we're also going to be helping Alan out with bikes and just generally more support and collaboration, and starting with your demoing a bunch of bikes to figure out what your next bike is.
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah.
So, and today you came and you picked up a Vala demo.
Yeah.
Ooh, so we could be like triplets riding Valas.
Oh, yeah. Is it all the same build too?
Yes. Well, what build? No, Ak has the Chi build. XX?
I think it is the XX. Yeah,
So
XX Reserve.
The demo you took out is the XO1 Reserve, and the bike I got is the XO1 Reserve.
Okay.
That's excellent.
Dang. You have one more X.
I have one more X. That's right. So what does this mean for you, Alan?
You know, the part of the mountain biking story is like trying out different bikes, drooling over bikes, you know, like going to thepathbikeshop.com, thepathbikeshop.com, and like scrolling the bikes and like, which one do I want next?
Right.
And it allows me to kind of do that again. Not just kind of, but totally do that again. And then it allows me to try whatever bike y'all have on offer and see what I like.
I think some of my earlier memories of you are when you were trying to buy a next bike that turned out to, I think, be a Bronson.
Yeah.
And I think you demoed some bikes.
Yeah. I had a previous bike where we had a crash replacement and I had a little bit of time, a little bike gap, you know?
Right.
And y'all helped me out by like spoiling me with a bunch of bikes. And I landed on a Bronson at the time. Yeah.
It seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah. It seems like it was like 100 years ago and yesterday at the same time.
Yeah. So you were on our show, I think, in 2023 after you went to Whistler.
Yeah.
What have you been up to since then?
Just doing a ton of stuff with Giant, like working with Giant over the last couple of years has just been rad. I was on Giant at that time.
Props to Giant.
Yeah.
Good people.
Awesome people. Great support. So through them, I got to do a bunch of events. I got to, like, obviously they gave me a bunch of awesome bikes, and working with that crew has been rad. So just a lot of traveling, a lot of riding, and then just kind of getting a taste of a fair range of the Giant lineup. at least towards the like more gravity oriented stuff and e-bike stuff. Yeah. And
I mean, you jumped full into the gravity side of things with Giant.
yeah, that was like the Rain SX was like the park bike,
Right.
and then the Glory was my first ever DH bike, which was like really cool to have like a big gnarly DH bike.
That's new since you were on the show last, having a downhill bike.
Yeah.
Tell us about downhill bike life.
It's just good. It's just good. I keep thinking back to when I think y'all were talking about downhill bikes at some point on the podcast and how like it's dangerous. Sanjay said that too, because they want to go fast. And I think that kind of suited me. I think it still kind of suits me. Like I like going fast. I love it on the big jumps. And then taking it to the bike park. I'm such a park rat in the summer. So like a downhill bike just makes sense for me. And ever since the Glory now, I don't know if I'll ever be without at least one built up DH bike.
For you, what are the key differences in the experience between a big enduro bike and a downhill bike?
Like the Rain SX, right? Was what
Yeah.
you were. Yeah.
Yeah. The Rain SX was kind of in between because it did have that dual crown.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So that's part of the difference for you, the dual crown.
yeah, the dual crown is part of the difference. Where it's, you think of a downhill bike and it's easy to think of it as being very plowy. You just kind of point it and go. But there's something about, with that dual crown fork, it just feels more precise. Like it's going to hold whatever line you tell it to hold, within reason. And that's really nice. Also, just having a bit more weight and a bit more plantedness on the chunk is nice. And then in the air, you just have a little bit more to push against. And I think it lines up a lot with what people like about e-bikes.
Yes.
When you're descending on an e-bike, that little bit of extra weight. I think my Glory weighs about the same as the Trans X Elite.
Right.
It's in the 40-ish range. So yeah.
43, 40, around there.
Somewhere,
43,
yeah.
44.
On the flip side, slow, like you don't want to ride them slow.
Yeah. Your next downhill bike might be lighter.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Well, now that you're with the Path, you've got
Yeah, I've got,
I think the two you're considering are lighter.
yeah. Okay.
I think that both of them weigh about 38, 39 pounds.
Yeah. I'm open to, can we talk about that openly?
I mean, we can talk about bikes you're considering. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think we should.
Yeah. Okay.
So you told me you're sort of thinking about a couple different downhill bikes.
Yeah. There's the V10. It's hard to argue with the V10. I've never ridden one, but like it's the Santa Cruz V10. It's kind of like,
looks excellent.
it looks great. It's a known quantity.
No one doesn't like their V10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. And then there's this other bike that's got two chains that I keep looking at.
So you're checking out the Phoenix.
The Phoenix, yeah.
Sick.
The hard decision with that one though is like, do you get the
The only option I have is a high pivot 2-chain.
Siri's got
kidding.
opinions on pivot bikes. I should turn mine over too. Is like, do you get the blue one or the black one?
Blue and mint. Or you get that mint. It's like a
The
mint
one.
color.
Yeah, mint.
I say you get that. It's way more like identifiable, and everyone's gonna have the black one.
Yeah. The black one does look good though.
It does. It's got a lot of sparkle.
Yeah. Is it sparkly?
Yeah, really sparkly.
Okay. I haven't seen one in person. Is there one in the shop?
Not right now.
Okay.
The ones we've had did not last long. We have a mint one in the shop.
Yeah, I was looking at
Yeah.
that one. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, I got a few more questions. I got some rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
Clips or flats?
Flats.
Okay. Butt pad in your shorts or no butt pad? Like a chamois or not a chamois?
No chamois.
No chamois.
No chamois, good seat.
Okay. Carry a bag or on bike storage?
I've just converted to carry a bag.
How's that treating you?
I like it better.
Okay.
Because I just take the bag with me and it goes with me.
Yep. Bar width.
770 or 760.
Favorite grips?
The ODI long necks, because I often ride with no gloves.
Favorite set. And what about those are good for no gloves?
They're ribbed for pleasure, so they've got like they're more like flanges actually, And like even if you have a little bit of sweat on your hands, they kind of grip you back.
Cool.
Kind of hug you back. And then they also, because of they're almost like, because of those flanges, I feel like when they do get a little moist, they dry up pretty quick. So yeah. And they have a little cush. So shout out to ODI.
Nice. Anything else of note in your setup?
I do like the 1-Ups 35 mil rise.
Mm-hmm.
I really have.
Would you go higher if you could?
You know, somebody in my comments section was saying they're up to like 80 mil. And I'm like, I don't know.
I wonder what their saddle height is.
Yeah. I don't feel like I need to go higher. Have you been playing with that?
I always have my bars set up usually with a 35 mil rise and usually with all the spacers underneath. So given the fact that I am as far as I can go, I have to assume I might be happy to go further. And I've been as far as I can go since before the higher bar trend. I like their old stuff.
Well, some of the stuff I've been riding recently, I might start wanting higher bars.
So you went and rode with some of the Path crew.
Yeah.
And with Eric, who's kind of like
Path
crew.
adjacent.
Honorary Path adjacent.
He's on our team for sure. He's supported by the Path.
Oh, sick. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you guys rode some not so on the menu trails in Laguna, and I think some of your first time on some of those. Those are awesome trails.
Yeah, they were fun.
Good shape right now.
I don't know.
They're about as dusty as they're going to get.
Yeah. It's been a long time since it rained.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun though. Yeah, for sure.
To me, that's the condition. Like I feel like when things are moist, that's like a treat. But in Southern California, I'm always just like, it's just dusty. That's just what we ride. Standard operating procedures. But anyway, I had a lot of fun on those trails.
Yeah. And dusty can be fun. There's nothing wrong with dusty.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference in skill set adjustment, perception, thoughts on trail there versus, say, in the parks where you spend a lot of time?
Well, I think, if we're talking, are we talking like Summit, like Snow Summit or Whistler?
Sure.
I think the more steeper technical stuff, it's pretty similar, I think, in terms of your technique, where you just need to get into position. And then at a certain point, you just are off the brakes until you can find a good braking spot again. Front brake control is a little bit different because here, a lot of the spots, you can't really depend on the front brake too much. Although I have noticed, maybe it's just the tire setup I'm running, but I felt like I had a fair bit of front tire control on a lot of those trails.
Right.
The steep switchbacks, that's a new thing for me. We rode Las Ramblas. Me and Jeff went out there.
That place is pretty rad right now.
Yeah. And it took me a while to like figure out the technique for those steep switchbacks. And I started getting it.
Right.
And once I started getting it, I started getting a little bit more comfort and speed on it.
Right.
So it was cool to have that, a little bit of skill before going to those trails.
Sure.
So Whistler has actual steeps. I wouldn't say Summit does. And
No.
I don't know that you guys rode anything super steep.
Correct.
No, yeah, correct. Yeah.
You got into the.
I mean, Summit does, Summit doesn't, but they're.
Even the off menu stuff at Summit has no sustained, like,
Big
nothing
feature
like what you could
steeps.
get at Whistler or at Squamish or in Laguna.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Agreed. I think, Jeff, one of the things Jeff was saying, or somebody was saying, that like the trails that we rode, they give you mouth like little tastes. Whereas like some of the other stuff that you're talking about is more like mouthfuls,
I feel
like full
you could
meals.
get some little tastes that have a little bit more slabbiness that are still little tastes.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the things you guys didn't really hit much is almost any slabs. Maybe
Right.
like a couple little slabs.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Slabs.
Slab.
Speaking of new stuff to ride, I rode Two Monkeys for the first time.
I keep hearing about that trail. It seems like it's on everyone's lips right now.
Yeah, it's out in the open space, the part of the Cleveland National that is open. And so it's kind of the Blackstar Canyon. You park at Blackstar Canyon and then you pedal up, and it's part of that area. Yeah, it's that's a lot of fun. Kind of that some steep, loose, little bit chunky chutes with really narrow off-camber corners sometimes, and some type of the stuff where it's, you don't want to really look left, and because there's consequences. It harkens back to a lot of Santa Ana riding, and it's a really, really cool place. You can get 17 miles, 3,700 feet of climbing with a couple really long, with 2 different descents included on that. If you have enough energy, either yourself or otherwise, you could actually drop down into the Corona side, and pedal back up and do.
I heard I'd like to ride Diablo.
Yeah, if you could, that would be awesome.
Have you ridden that stuff, Alan?
Mm.
Oh, we should do that stuff soon.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a good part way between us too, because it's in Corona.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be super fun. We should plan that ASAP.
How many watt hours do I need?
Well, I think for each run, I think you could do probably 2 runs pretty easy with the 600 on the Vala.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you could. You couldn't boost it the whole time, but you could definitely easily do it on 600 watt hours.
I think I'm kind of guessing that the actual Troy Lee trails and Diablo are maybe like 2,000, 2,500 feet of climbing.
Yeah, I think so.
So you could nearly boost it the whole time, probably.
Yeah.
Or higher levels of assist.
I think I saw some stats like it's 20 miles. It's about 20 to 25 miles with 5,100 feet of climbing. If you climb up Blackstar, drop the other side, come back up, and then drop down 2 monkeys.
Oh,
so it's
up and over, back up and over.
Yeah. So I don't know on the 600. I'm not sure you could fully boost that.
No, I was thinking park on the Corona side and do some laps.
Oh yeah. Do like 2 ups.
Yeah.
And
that
if you
might work.
Yeah. And if you put one of those Power More range extenders, which I could give you the secret tip on how to actually make it work.
Yeah, we were having some trouble with that, huh?
Make sure it's updated right off the bat, or
make sure the battery is updated.
It
right
needs
off
to have
the
the
bat.
same update as your bike.
Yep.
Same update level as your bike.
So the bike gets updated regularly through the app, that's cool. And then make sure that the battery is updated. If it's not, you won't be able to update it on the bike. So bring it into a shop and they'll run put the diagnostic tool, and it'll get updated. And unfortunately, the 150 millimeter power cord, that's kind of like the medium length power cord, does not fit on either setting of the. If you put the mount of the Power More in the on the 2 holes on the frame that says range extender,
Yeah.
the 150 millimeter cord is too short.
Mm-hmm.
The next longest cord is 290 millimeters or 300 millimeters. It's
250? No, I think it's 250.
it's much too long.
Longer than you need.
Yeah, and then if you put it on the bottle cage, then it runs into the shock. So buy yourself a 2-slot B-Rad wolf tooth base plate that allows you to slide up and down on either of the mounting holes, and then mount your Power More to that.
It's a water bottle mount that's adjustable. It goes on your water bottle mount.
Yes. So that worked out really well, and now you'll have 850 watt hours if you
Nice.
do that.
Yes.
Well, I'll have to go Bobsy out on our walls.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I rode that 3 days in a row.
What did you ride 3 days in a row?
3 monkeys
Oh,
or
nice.
2 monkeys. That
Nice.
was like 6 monkeys.
6 months. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the technical difficulty level on that?
It's I think you got to be comfortably intermediate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
For a while too.
For a while.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Next time Eric's on the show, we'll have to have him. No. Andrew from Shimano's on the show. We'll have to have him tell the story.
Well, I'll tell my part of the story.
Okay, go for it.
So Andrew's got this awesome neighbor mic.
Neighbor Mike.
Right. And I got a text from neighbor Mike. Hey, Andrew blew up his rear wheel. Can you help me figure out where he is and help me figure out what wheel to bring him? So we can't get a hold of Andrew. Andrew's out of reception, but we figure out that he's up somewhere on Blackstar above the golf ball. And then we're trying to figure out, making sure it's the right cassette, the right rotor, the right wheel size. Neighbor Mike's in Andrew's garage on the phone with me. We're kind of trying to guess which wheel to grab. But yeah, he got up there on his dual sport and got Andrew a wheel and got him home. It probably would have been like a 6-hour walk or 5-hour. I mean, it would have been a long walk.
Yeah, because
10 miles off road.
They already had to. They already, I think Andrew said they walked 4 miles.
And that's carrying the bike because he tore out almost every spoke from the rear wheel.
Exactly.
Holy.
Something got caught in the rear wheel.
He was
under
just
high
about
force.
or he had just applied full power and a branch got stuck in the spokes.
Oh my God.
And just
It's a good picture.
it's
photograph
amazing.
Is impressive.
Wow.
And
I was expecting something like that to happen on a descent.
well, I mean, it might as well have been because he was on an e-bike.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of torque.
yeah, but yeah, that trail has some pretty good steep stuff. Has some pretty good off camber. Man, classic Santa Ana riding. Classic Santa Ana riding. It's pretty great.
Yeah. I'll have to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mind if I circle back on a couple more just quickies questions
Sure.
on?
Let's.
Yeah.
Tire preference?
Kind of the classic Assegai and DHR2s.
Assegai front, DHR rear.
Yeah, unless it's on the DH bike, then I'll go dual Assegai.
And on the DH bike, you run downhill casings?
Yeah.
And on the enduro bike, you run...
Like EXO Plus.
And the e-bike?
Geez, I
No,
just kind of whatever.
Double down
So-
EXO Plus zone, probably.
Yeah, I think the Rain E has like Cush Core in there, and I think it has EXO Plus.
Is that the only bike you have inserts in?
The Muscle Rain has inserts too.
Do you like how it feels?
Yeah, yeah.
What sort of tire pressures do you run without inserts?
These days like 25, 23.
25 rear, 23 front?
Yeah.
And then with inserts?
Like 24, 22. I tend to run kind of the same though.
But not that different.
Yeah, because I'll still like hit the rim, but maybe because I ride kind of dumb sometimes. But
What crank length do you ride?
no, so on the DH bike, I've got 155s. On the Muscle Rain, they're 160s, and I think the Rain E is it's whatever it comes with, 160 or 165.
Probably 160.
Yeah, I think
Your
160.
Muscle Rain doesn't have 160s anymore.
No, it doesn't. Now it's got 150. What do I have?
You have Fairline pre-production cranks. They're 150s.
Yeah,
They just went on there.
yeah.
They
So-
replaced your 5 devs, and it pretty much, we used your chain ring and just put them on there.
Yeah,
And they rubbed your chain guide. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
yeah.
But
That'll get fixed.
or maybe they won't be compatible with that chain guide on that bike.
Hmm.
I mean, most of us aren't running chain guides on most of our bikes these days. I'm not.
Really?
A downhill bike, I would for sure.
Hmm.
I don't think I am either. That's interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, ever since narrow wide changed, I don't really drop chain. So, and that's really the only reason to have that upper guide.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't know the difference because I think everything I've been riding has had a guide, but yeah, we're going to run it without the guide.
We'll see if you drop chain.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm looking forward to testing those out.
so you're also kind of de facto sponsored by Fairline.
Yeah. Fairline. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what you think of 10 millimeters shorter than you're used to on that bike, but
Yeah.
only 5 millimeters shorter than you're used to on your downhill bike.
Yeah. Like I've liked it, the shorter cranks like 155 on the DH bike for descending.
Yeah.
We'll see what it feels like climbing. But yeah,
How would you describe what you like about it?
I just feel like I have more leg. If
He's
that makes sense.
got more leg.
I got more leg. I keep reflecting on this image I have. So Mike Mountner,
Yeah.
he and I were riding Greer together, and we filmed each other going over this like kind of little steep up and over rock thing. And I looked at me going over, and then I looked at him going over with his like long ass legs, and I was like, okay, there's a little bit of a difference in body suspension there.
Yeah.
And that's what I always think about with the shorter cranks. Like, I mean, it doesn't give me Mountaineer legs, but
It gets you closer to the same hip angle as him
yeah.
at 3 and 9,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
which I think is a thing.
And you've done the crotch measure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did it say your crank length was supposed to be?
152.5 if I use the times 0.2
Okay.
formula.
Yeah.
What do you know what your inseam is?
No.
So that's based on a 30-inch inseam.
Okay.
If I
Yeah.
remember
I think
correctly.
I'm like 28 or 29, something like
so
that.
your ideal crank length might be even less than 150
Yeah.
or 150.
Wow.
So let's just say for fun,
You
I'll-
might
I'll
be
do the math.
145. Yeah, with a 28.5-inch inseam, you'd be 144.78.
Doing the math over here. Jeez.
Wow.
You got to be careful when you start talking numbers around Hawk.
He's got a calculator.
I got a calculator. Don't ask me to do it here. Exactly.
Yeah. I do feel like there's a point where it's like, even if the measurement is there, where it becomes maybe a little too short. Because I start wondering about like being able to push the back around, like in the dirt or in the air.
I think that's valid.
Yeah. Because like you
That
only.
was a comment that Jack Russell made when I was talking to him about short cranks. He's a pretty, I think he's a very well respected bike designer. So I think I'm not the only one who thinks Jack Russell's smart and shreds.
What was your journey to shorter crank lengths?
You guys, you on this podcast, you were talking about it, and then 5Dev was one of the few people who were offering it, and decided to try it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you went from 160 to 150 on your
On the
push
rain?
bike.
That happened tonight, though.
Yeah, that happened
He
tonight.
hasn't really ridden it yet.
Yeah, in the
Right.
parking lot, I pedaled it around.
Right.
How's your short crank journey going, Hawk?
Yeah. So
Any news?
Nothing new since the last. Yeah. So I was full on 172 and a half or 175 down to 150.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I've been riding a 155 as well. So, and I almost feel like the 155 is might be my cross country length, but again, that might be because I just haven't fully made the transition.
That may just be where you're at on your journey.
That might be, yeah, exactly.
For me, the biggest thing was when I went from the 170 to the 160
Right.
on the muscle rain. Like, I immediately could tell the difference. I had no problem on the climbing, but like descending, it felt so good.
I feel like it really frees my hips up to move them side to
Mhm.
side
Yeah.
Mhm.
and increases my leg suspension
Yeah, totally.
and ankle suspension.
I think the first ride I did was like a car crash in San Clemente,
Mm.
and just like, coming up over the boulder and all that stuff. I just felt way more free.
Right.
Yeah, like you can separate from the plane that the bike is on better.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I think since then, like doing 155 on the Glory, I guess I just didn't feel as much of a difference because it's not as much
It's
of a
downhill,
change.
Right.
And yeah, and a downhill rig. So yeah, but we'll see with the Fairlines.
I think, Alan, you bring up an interesting point. You feel like you have more leg, and that's to me that's more like the vertical up and down and the back over the back and kind of that motion. And yeah, that's a really interesting observation.
Well, the further your feet are from each other, the closer your hips are to the ground, or the closer, or the less high you can get your hips.
Yeah.
Right.
The less range you have is the way I think of it.
If you were doing the splits, your hips would be stuck to the ground. To take it to its extreme to understand the concept.
Right. Right.
Yes. Something I've never experienced on purpose. But I did use the skateboard.
I have done the skateboard splits actually.
Oh.
Yeah. I also it's also the ability to twist is increased.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like if you're just standing with your feet next to each other and you turn, you have all this mobility. And as soon as you start spreading your legs out, you incrementally increase or decrease that mobility.
Which is a form of breaking the plane with the bike too.
Oh yeah.
And it's also as you twist, it's the ability to move your hips to one side or the other too.
Mm-hmm. Did you see, I want to say it was somebody with Vital MTB. They did a 0 length crank.
It's
How's
called a
that
motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. He said it was terrible though.
Yeah.
He said it was like, because we're so used to having one foot in front of the other. He said it actually felt like he was riding Switch. But it was.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was like.
I wonder if he increased the stance width. I do think that would help with the problem and lower it a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that like forward back that you get from being in a slight lunge position is valuable on the mountain bike.
Yeah,
we don't really. Yeah, if you lose that, I don't know if I want
It's
to.
also the ability to drop a pedal and lower your center of gravity more.
Yeah, it's true. Drop a pedal.
That's an interesting, if you had zero length, is it really on the bottom
pegs.
bracket, or should you drop it a little bit lower?
I would say if you were running pegs on your mountain bike, you'd want to drop them a little lower and you'd want to increase the width. And that might be kind of cool.
Yeah. Have you seen those pedals? Those new pedals?
Yes. The ones that drop your effective ride height.
Yeah.
It's kind of like lowering your bottom bracket height through your pedals.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, they look really cool.
And yeah, no, it's like lowering your bottom bracket height through your pedals. And what brand is that came out with that?
I can't remember, but they drop down from the spindle.
Yeah. Have you seen that, Ock?
I don't think I have.
They're weird looking and they look really cool.
Yeah. There's like nothing in the middle.
Oh, okay. I have seen them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting, the nothing in the middle.
Nothing.
That part's weird too.
Yeah.
The part about dropping, like having a downward offset, I think is very, very smart.
That's what I think is the smart move on that design. I'm looking for it as well too.
Yeah. Lone Ranger did a video on it. Shout out Ryan.
Yeah. So, wow, that sounds like an interesting. Maybe we could find a pair of those.
Yeah. I have to tell my story of going to ride my childhood stomping grounds.
All right, go for it.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's just,
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
bursting.
Good. Let's.
So, first of all, in my hometown of Maui, when I was a kid in like 5th and 6th grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, there's a library, tiny little library. It's like 1,000 people in this town.
This is in Hawaii.
Yeah, on Maui.
On Maui.
Up country, so up on the hill a little bit, not in town, which is like Kahului is in town. So the library has a concrete bench in front of it, like a ledge, a concrete ledge that's I think it's meant to sit on. It's not a bench in the sense that it doesn't have a back. It's just a flat structure, kind of like and it's probably eight, maybe 2 feet off the ground or about the height of a seat, maybe less than 2 feet. And I remember before I'd ever seen anyone do anything like this, I was like, I bet I could ride my BMX bike off of that.
How long is it?
It's a very good question. It's probably long enough to like set up and get a little bit of speed, but short enough that you're like rushing to do it. So maybe 8 feet long.
Okay.
So I got my courage up and I rode up to it a couple times. I stopped at probably 10. And I really vividly remember like committing to it. And
You're on top of
Yeah,
the bench at this point.
yeah.
Okay.
I really vividly remember committing to it and going for it and just dead face planting on it.
Oh my gosh. Concrete.
Yeah. So as it's been 40 years or so since the mid 80s, and visiting this hometown, all these memories are flooding back, and I'm like, I wonder if that ledge is still in front of the library. And I went over there, that ledge is still there.
Whoa.
Yeah, I forgot to go take my rental bike and ride off of it. I really, really wish I
You're
had.
like, I finally have the skills.
Was there any blood stains on the concrete left over from?
I think I smacked my face pretty good, but I mostly got my weight on my hands. I don't think I really got badly injured. More embarrassed and stunned.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good.
Do you
memory.
remember? Do you remember the crash vividly?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I remember the feeling of like not having pulled up hard enough or on the bars or pushed, and I didn't know that
With
move
the
yet of
hips,
like pushing them out.
Yeah.
And just the terrible, horrible, like, oh no.
All right.
But-
Well, if you go ahead.
But we used to take our BMX bikes up in the forest above Makawao, and now I think that's the Olinda forest that we hung out in, but right next to that is the Makawao forest, and now that's like a full-on pedal up bike park.
Whoa.
Like skill area, dirt jumps, pump track, probably at least 4 or 5 descents that are all like 800 to 1,000 feet of descending.
Whoa.
Fire road climb up to the top of them, all kinds of different terrain, different soil types. Like I was blown away.
I'm going.
I rode a bike we don't sell.
Oh.
Yeah, I rented a Turbo Levo from Crank Cycles in Makawao. Super cool shop, nice people. At that shop, I got to see a zeroed with the pinion like transmission. I got to ride that.
Oh.
That's also really cool.
That's cool.
That was the shop manager's bike. He let me ride it in the parking lot. I gotta say that Turbo Levo is pretty sweet. Like, I don't love hyping stuff we don't sell, but like,
Right.
it was really quiet and really smooth, and the battery life was kind of insane. So that was interesting.
That's cool.
That's a long travel, right?
It's like a 150 rear, 160
okay.
front, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was really well suited to those trails because it's kind of like pretty single track normally, but then there's also a full on jump trail.
Right.
And I found the one slippery clay spot and slid like, and it was so slippery that when I slid it, I didn't even get scraped. Like
Oh gosh.
Slip and slide.
Yeah,
Oh man.
Did your shirt come out?
no,
Stained?
the red stuff doesn't, the red clay doesn't really
come
come out.
out.
I'll be proudly wearing
Yeah.
those shorts with the red stains on them.
Yes. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share that. And if anyone ever
that's-
has a chance to go ride, and I wouldn't say you would necessarily travel to Maui just to ride Makawao Forest. It's almost that good. But if you're on Maui, I think it's worth renting a bike and riding Makawao Forest.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to deal with Maui. God.
Yeah. It's like a 6-hour flight there and a 5-hour flight back.
Did you surf?
Direct?
through there?
I didn't surf on this trip. The first week.
Wait, direct. Where would you stop?
On Oahu.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was direct.
It was
Right
direct.
at Honolulu.
Right.
Sorry, I'm being weird.
The waves were super small
Mm.
the first half and then super big the second half.
Okay.
So first half of the trip, there were like pretty much no surfable waves.
Mm.
And then the swell hit and it was like 20 feet.
Yeah.
And I spent
20
a fair amount
Hawaiian?
of time watching. I don't know.
20 Californian.
I don't know what scale was being used when I heard 20 feet.
Okay.
It was big enough that one day it was big enough that some of the medium spots were just completely closed out.
Mm.
People were getting towed in the outer reefs. Like,
Jeez.
I definitely saw some like probably quadruple overhead waves getting ridden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
short.
have surfed on Maui when I went there about 25 years ago.
Mm.
it was one of the highlights for me was I had a local vibe me in the lineup, and I was just like, yes, I'm in the system.
I'm in the system.
Like not in a I did anything wrong or they were gonna hurt me way, more just a like, what are you doing here? Vibes like you don't belong here. And I was just like, yeah.
That's cool.
All the Pigeon English was super nostalgic for me. It's so cool. Yeah.
Did you start speaking it by the end of your
Only for fun.
right?
But when I lived there, I mean, if you're 9 and 10 and you go to a school where everyone speaks a certain way, you're going to speak that way. Like
Yeah.
me and my sisters definitely spoke that way when we lived there and went to school there.
Right.
And especially, I noticed the further up country you get, kind of the thicker it is. And we were in that up country school, like, because in town, there's more out of town influence.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some people that I know here and who grew up in Hawaii, and you would never know. And then when you go back to Hawaii with them, all of a sudden you're like, who are you? I mean,
It comes out.
the voice or like, the
rhythm,
the vocabulary changes. I'm like,
I love the everything is one. You don't say a, you say one. So it's not a Trader Joe's soda water. It's one Trader Joe's soda water.
oh yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah. So that's I didn't even know that about Maui, the pedal up bike park.
It's insane. Makawa Forest is super rad. Yeah, and I don't think that's the only mountain biking there either. But it is definitely a spot worth checking out if you're there.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Thank you. I listened to a podcast that kind of fascinated me recently that I think you guys would probably like.
All right.
We've talked about Huberman before. Sometimes we like his shows, but he recently had Dr. Laura Santos, and she's an expert on happiness.
Okay.
And she teaches a happiness class at an Ivy League school. I forget which one, I think.
Got it.
But the psychology, the science of happiness, the psychology of happiness. And she made a distinction that I thought was priceless. It's just the idea of happy in your life, happy with your life. So are you doing things that you're proud of? Are you happy with how your life is going versus when your life is happening, does it make you happy?
Right.
And it's really not always the same. I thought that was just like, I've been thinking about that for the last few days. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. If you're in the middle of the thing that you've been called to do, like your calling, like, and you are happy in that space, content, fulfilled, that there's a distinction between that and being happy with.
I do think we get overlap with mountain biking. It's fun to go mountain biking. We're happy while we're doing it, but we're also happy that we're mountain bikers. We're happy that we got that exercise. Yeah. We're like, we feel good about the fact that we went out and did stuff with like social, right. But like, and I think, a lot of us are fortunate that we get a lot of overlap between the two.
Yeah.
In other words, the things that bring us joy in the moment versus the things that make us feel like we've had a good life.
Yeah, the way I'm unpacking it is happy in is like when I'm on the trail and I'm in the moment enjoying that. And the happy with is like afterwards. And I'm thinking about like, oh, I survived that trail or like hit that feature and like reflecting on that.
Maybe you weren't super happy when you got up before dawn to get out on that trail.
Yeah, I was not happy in that. Yeah.
But still happy with your life, that's how your life is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She made another point that I thought was kind of interesting. She brought up how like the whole like gratitude movement is, she's like, no, there's something to that. There's science there. But she pointed out like, the way she likes to look at it is, yes, like showing gratitude increases the likelihood that you're going to have like a scientific happiness. But,
yes,
but
FDA approved.
What she pointed out though is that what she thinks is maybe an even better way to look at it is what brings you delight. So it's like involuntary gratitude almost. It's like gratitude without the knowing you should feel grateful, but the actual like feeling grateful because you do. Like, I thought that was interesting too.
That's cool. To me, what that connects to for me is it's like meditation practice, right? You do meditation practice on a regular basis, but the meditation practice in and of itself it's the practice, so that when you're in the moment, you can step into that mode.
So you can be delighted.
Or yeah, so you mean, yeah. But like with gratitude, it's like if I'm doing a gratitude practice on a regular basis, it sets me up in that mindset so that I do have the more spontaneous moments of gratitude. Just like with doing meditation practice, I'll have like the spontaneous moments of clarity or that little moment, that little pause that lets me like make a better decision. That's kind of how I look at that. So like the two almost go hand in hand, right? Not that I think she was trying to oppose the two, because I don't know.
I think it's a yes and and
yes
even
and,
kind of a refinement, and also the whole gratitude word gets played out, right? It just gets played out. People say it enough times, it starts to lose its meaning. You got to come up with a new word, and sometimes also I think there's a little bit of a like, you better be grateful. And I don't think that's that you could accidentally go down that road if you don't, and especially how like a lot of us think in the world, in this part of the world, like there's like a be grateful, and it's good advice.
Yes.
But it's easy to just take it it's easy to take it as an obligation to be grateful instead of as an opportunity to be delighted, right? Like,
you have to hit your gratitude quota today.
Well, and if you don't do it, you're ungrateful and you're a bad person.
Yeah.
It's not about not being a bad person. It's about having a chance to actually be delighted about something.
Yeah.
To be stoked.
Yeah.
To be stoked, right? Like, it's different to like showing being stoked is a little bit different than like showing it's like, hey, I'm really grateful for this meal. I'm glad I'm not someone who's starving. I'm glad but it's like, man, I'm stoked to be eating this fresh sashimi or, like,
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Hey, Alan, you put out right before we started the show, you put out a call for questions.
Oh.
Questions via the internets. Okay. You want me to pop these out?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to start from the oldest ones. The first one is from Average Chad, and Chad is rad because Chad is my first mountain bike buddy. So shout out to Chad.
Oh, nice.
Met him at an enduro race I went to at Vail. I think it was in my first year of riding. So yeah, we became buddies, and he asks me, "Are you ever going to race again?" And I'm going to put this to all of us. My answer is yes, not seriously, but it would be fun to set up a DH bike and do like South Ridge or some other DH race. So yes, I would like to put a number plate on that thing. Then also, if they have the number plate things that go on the front now.
Okay.
Right. And like if I have to have one of those to put my number plate on, then I can just keep it on, and then my DH bike looks super gangster at that point.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, what about y'all?
I have no plans to race, but if I'm honest, I picture myself racing again before I die. Like, I don't think my last race is in the books.
What genre? What type of racing?
I would probably race downhill. I think that's the only format that I wouldn't have to like really undergo a big transformation to be like somewhat competitive at.
Maybe dual slalom.
Oh yeah, that's you.
No,
that's you.
Almost raced Jeff Miller in dual slalom.
I wouldn't be opposed to racing some enduro, but I would want to race like some big mountain enduro, and I think I would have to get a little more fitness to really do those descents with confidence after doing those climbs.
Yeah,
and with the kind of freshness in the legs that you need to go those speeds.
Yeah. Would you race again? You've raced before?
I have raced before, and I probably put myself in the same category as maybe you guys and on the race downhill. What I found on cross country racing is I have to get my head into the right space to do that. And when I get my head into the right space to do that, after I'm done with the race, it takes me so long to recover. You know, and I'm of a certain age that I'm not sure I like to do that anymore. So, yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But definitely nothing serious. Not that I race seriously.
I would do an over the hump race and just not try to be competitive. That'd be fun.
Like participate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I could also see participating in some endurance events again someday.
Yeah.
And that I don't.
Maybe a 24-hour what do you call it? Not relay race.
Team
race.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
I've had a lot of fun at those in the past.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun. Hanging out in the tent. So Joe Mendez, I don't know what the user is, like Joe Mendez 00. This is a good one. I like this one. Is it too late to learn to jump in mountain biking in your 30s? At what age did you start learning? And my immediate answer is no. It's definitely in your 30s. You're like a kid. You can learn in your 30s. I started learning to jump in my 40s, pretty much when I started mountain biking, like late 40s. So yeah, you can learn to jump. I mean, I feel like more risk of injury from jumping because it's a different skill I think it's a totally different skill set from anything else you get in mountain biking. So I think especially if you're older, even after 30, coaching is highly recommended. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are.
I agree with that. I also think around here, we don't have an opportunity for a lot of real progression. Sky Park and Summit and the local places, they have easy trails and they have intermediate trails, but they don't have like the in-between. And they don't have really, really easy but still jumps. Mm-hmm. And they don't have like a little harder than they don't have all the steps. Where like if you go to Whistler, mm-hmm. you can go from a jump that anyone's going to be pretty safe hitting, and you can just do baby steps bigger and bigger until you get to like pretty big jumps.
Yeah. And they're consistent.
Well built. Yeah. I would agree that you can definitely learn to jump into your 30s and 40s and even 50s. I know many people who have. I didn't get exposed to a lot of downhill bike park stuff until I was well into my 30s. So my opportunity to do a lot of jumping didn't really start until then, other than a little bit of dirt jump stuff here and there on BMX bikes, which I never super excelled at. I never spent enough time on it. Or like dirt jump bikes. So yeah, I would say both Alan and myself probably most of, it's not like I didn't ever do a jump, and like I have pictures of me jumping a mountain bike in my 20s, but most of my jumping progression took place in my 30s and 40s actually.
I mean, you started jumping when you were 10 in Hawaii.
That's true.
started jumping off of benches.
Landings weren't good yet, but
that's more like just falling.
You know what? I remember being 5 and setting up a piece of plywood on a 2x4 and making my mom watch and tell me if I got both my wheels off the ground at the same time when I went off of it.
Awesome.
So, you know, a lot of us did jumps when we were kids, but that's really different than like learning how to jump a full suspension mountain bike and a bike.
Yeah,
park.
Correct.
I mean, I think it's such a particular skill, and when you're younger, it's easier to pick it up. I think because you're just moving around a lot more. You're not sitting at a desk all day or whatever. You're out playing more, and then as you get older, there's just more risk. So I think that's why like I get these questions a lot about like learning to jump when you're older, or just a lot of people past a certain age saying like I just don't jump, and it makes sense. So I think you have to be really intentional about learning how to jump, because there's people like me who like I just have the dumb switch where I'll just be like, oh my god, and I'll just do it and then get hurt really bad.
Grip it and rip it.
Yeah, and that's I haven't been able to not hit that dumb switch anymore, mostly, and have really just taken my time to learn technique, get coaching. So yeah, take your time if you're gonna learn to jump when you're older.
You can do it for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, just take your time. Oh, here's a good question for y'all. What can people who want to get involved with Joplin and other trails do when the time comes to rebuild?
I don't think we know yet. I don't think that it's
We're talking about
it's
because
too
of the
far
fires.
out on the horizon still, I think, to say.
Yeah.
And
But-
maybe there's more information than I have. I don't know yet.
Right, and that is this is a yes and. Pay attention to like announcements from local mountain biking clubs, OCMTB. You can keep in touch with the Rangers service. Listen to our podcast because oftentimes we hear about groups that are doing work with the Forestry Service. So, but those are great avenues.
If getting on the Warrior Society email list is still a thing, that might be worth trying. I know earlier there were some calls to write some letters that we could have shared.
Right. So letter writing, and then also again, as groups start going out, as we hear about them, we let people know as well.
Cool. That was Michael and Neil, by the way.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chad and Neil.
Yeah.
Michael and Neil.
Michael and Neil. Do you want any more?
Yeah, let's keep it going. These are good.
We're gonna go to Bikesom. Nice dude. I like this one. I'm gonna let y'all go first because I have to think about this one. But what's your favorite sound from your bike when you're having the best ride of your life?
It's the kind of shrouping sound that your tires make when they especially if you're jamming your rear tire into a catch berm on like kind of slight loose over hard, and it kind of makes that like
Right. I'm gonna say at speed over like a rock garden that your bike makes, especially the newer bikes with a good chainstay protection. That sound I really like.
I like this question.
Yeah. Bikesom, he knows what he's talking about. Can I do two?
Sure.
Because there's I have the technical riding stuff. So specifically in a place like Whistler, the way the technical trails sound there, because they don't have we've kind of got a grit, but it has a to it, and there all you hear is the tuk, 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 tuk. It's kind of muted, and especially if your bike is quiet, that's all you hear is just tuk, 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 tuk. And the other sound is the zipper, the lip zipper. So when you're hitting a jump at speed and you get that zzz.
That's a good sound.
It's such a good sound.
I want to add another one too.
Okay.
When you're kind of roosting a turn or blowing up a pile of dirt in a gnarly turn situation, and you hear the dirt splatter onto the dry leaves.
Wow, that's great. Cool. I guess you get two then as well.
Oh man, I'll have to think about a second one. Come back to me. I'll spit it out at some point.
The other one is when somebody's where are we going to eat?
These are good questions.
Yeah, these are good. Let me reload it to see if we got any more. Okay, so we got one that's asking for Carlos Machado 86. When you come into Tucson, Arizona, and do the Lemmon Drop, Mount Lemmon.
So we were talking about maybe going out in that direction while it's cold over. That's probably the nicest place in the region to ride.
Yeah,
because it's cold.
Do you know of this trail and feature?
I don't.
The Lemmon Drop?
I do not either.
Oh, I guess while it's not 1,000,000 degrees out there, I'll come out and do that.
Maybe we'll put that on our list.
Yeah, because part of our relationship. MTB Allen and the Path is doing some trips together, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big bummer.
Wait, what?
I'm just
Oh yeah.
Into
He's like, oh
sarcasm.
god dang
I'm
it.
being sarcastic. I'm stoked.
Gotta go hang out with Alan.
This is Pacific Northwest sarcasm, where in Southern California we express sarcasm by saying that things that suck are good, but in the Pacific Northwest you express sarcasm by saying that things that are good suck.
Okay.
So I was
I
using
like it.
Pacific
Oh,
Northwest
okay.
sarcasm.
I'm gonna switch then.
Like you get out, it's like a really nice day on the trail. It's like it's a crappy day to be out
Yeah.
here.
We used to do it's all right, I guess.
I kind of
Right.
like the idea of using sarcasm to express like a positive message because it's already kind of like the negative use of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
very
try
Pacific
it on.
Northwest. If you ever go ride in like Pacific Northwest, you might notice that they use sarcasm differently than we do. And
Interesting.
I like it.
Where does the Pacific Northwest start? This is my question.
I think the fringes are Southern Oregon to me,
Oh.
especially culturally like this. Like that's where you might start hearing people using sarcasm to express positive messages,
Okay.
in my opinion. But like as you get into Washington, it's like heavy.
Okay.
The vibe gets heavy.
Oregon. I was thinking like Santa Cruz would start, but maybe not.
I think you're in forest, so it has, and so there's that.
Mhm.
But you know, Santa Cruz is like Central California,
Right.
Yeah.
not to offend Northern California.
I was
It's
gonna
pretty
say
in the middle of. It's really not even.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
it
say like
is,
northern California. Like, I had to say that northern California.
Northern California.
Because I feel like San Francisco is just a little bit north of mid California.
Culturally, I feel like Santa Cruz is still very
Yeah.
just California West Coast.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. There's one more question, which is a pretty straightforward one from Low Budget Brian. What's your favorite local trail?
Oh,
Local trail.
okay, I'll say one.
Hmm.
I've only ridden it once, and
Two monkeys? No, wait,
Yeah,
you've ridden that
exactly.
a bunch of
I've
times.
ridden that 3 times. Right now, my favorite ride is the Palm Canyon Epic.
That's a good choice.
Well, we're going pretty far with local here.
I mean,
Southern California.
Okay, anywhere in Southern California?
I think we could have been home at 11 if we had just gone straight home after finished riding that. When I rode it.
Okay.
It's tough with a lot of the best ones recently burnt.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be easy to say Joplin or Jaeger Mesa.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then it's kind of hard too with a lot of the trails kind of are unnameable.
Yeah. That one with the thing and the other stuff?
I looked for something I could name.
Yeah.
Don't say my name.
Okay, even if it's not a trail, what about a local area to ride?
Okay.
For me, it's Laguna, I think. Overall, although I really like San Clemente, especially for e-bikes.
San Clemente is really fun. If I had to pick a trail, and I'm basing this on like what's the trail that I have ridden probably the most and still want to ride again as soon as I finish riding it. It's Party Wave West Ridge in Snow Summit. I know, but I also like I also like to listen to Taylor Swift 1989. So there you have it.
I sort of see the connection.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully see
It's
it.
just too easy. Like, it's really well built. It's well produced. It's good looking.
Poppy.
It's poppy. It's got all the things, and it's just too easy to like. So
Doesn't quite fully have rhythm.
Oh, geez. The Swifties are coming after you, Tani.
man.
I know a lot of Swifties listen to this podcast.
Oh man.
I mean, like both both that jump line and Swift and Taylor Swift, I feel like the rhythm is okay.
It's pretty good. You can dance to it.
Is that a good spot to end on?
Sure. Thanks, so. All right. Thanks for being on the show, Alan. And thanks, Rock. Thanks, Steve. Thanks to everyone out there in podcast land. And let's all remember to love the bike we ride.